Okay, so here's the thing. You have two companies that make handheld gaming. One of them is strictly gaming. That's all they do. They make video games. They don't make anything else. I mean, yeah, they have T-shirts, but that's nothing compared to the bullshit the other one does. You have Nintendo. Nintendo's been making handheld gaming a thing since late 80s, like 80, 88, 89, and the early 90s. You had the Game Boy, the small Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy SP, the DS, the 3DS, and variations of things in between there, the Game Boy Mini, and shit like that. There's a whole lot of handheld between then and now in the Nintendo market. Nintendo pretty much cornered that, and if it wasn't for Sony, Nintendo would have a monopoly over the handheld market pretty much. Um, Sony released two handhelds in their entire span of being in gaming. They have the handheld of the PSP, the PlayStation Portable, the PS Vita, and then their little other PSP, which is the PSP Go, PlayStation Portable Go, which nobody liked that. That was the biggest flop Sony's pretty much ever seen outside of the disastrous PlayStation 3. They made no money off of it. Literally everything was a digital only, and it couldn't sell worth a shit. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because it seems that Sony is dropping out of the handheld market. This should come as no surprise. Why do I say that? They've never shown any interest in the handheld market. They have a fan base. I'm one of those people. I love the handheld market. The handheld market actually has very little politics, has very little drama, has very little red tape when it comes to what you can, what you can't do, because there's so little attention paid to it. The 3DS gets away with a lot of stuff. A lot of the games are just fun and entertaining, and it's just a lot more fun. And sorry, that's the timer on the oven letting me know I need to go put food in there. Give me just 1 second. But now, you have this market. It's not like the core console that you hook up to your television. I mean, I don't want to say it's small. I mean, it's a big market. It is. I mean, you have to look at it in the sense of, okay, if we did the numbers month by month, there's been months where the 3DS has beat the PS4. There's been months where the 3DS, the 3DS has beaten out every core console on the market by itself. The 3DS is doing just fine. There's been months where handhelds have owned core consoles. And that's not just the 3DS, that's other handhelds. There's a big market. That's why phones are doing great. Phones are handhelds. You can play on the go. You can just pick it up, play it for a few minutes, turn it off, and you're done. This market is booming. And unfortunately, Sony is dropping out. And it's not that, there's no market there. Sony, I believe the reason Sony's dropping out, and you can be like, I'm making it up all you want to, but when you look at it this way, it makes sense. Look, Sony's running history with the PSP, the PlayStation Portable, was horrible. It started off strong. You thought, okay, Sony's really going to hit us with this. It's going to be great. They started off great. They had games. I mean, they were coming out with games, and it was great. It was during the PS2 era, in fact. During the PS2 generation, right in the middle of it, we got the PSP. It was like a PS2 on the go. and it was so much fun to play. We had good games. We had Grand Theft Auto 3, Liberty City Stories, Vice City Stories. We had Crisis Core. We had games, good AAA games, and they looked like your PS2 on a smaller screen, and it was fun to play. You had movies and all kinds of stuff. Just so much stuff going on with it at the very beginning. And then there was this break, a huge break in the system where when the PS3 came out, it was like Sony forgot completely they had a handheld. There was no support for it whatsoever. And then the PS3 came out. The PS3 came out and it caught traction a little bit. Then the traction just stopped completely. And then once the traction stopped, Sony was like, "Oh yeah, we have a handheld. Well, what can we do? We could start saying, hey, how about the handheld? Let's start putting games out for the handheld again and get some money doing that." But that's not how that works. Nintendo has never been like that. They have been recently, but back in the day when it was, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the 64, and the GameCube, they had it going where they'd release 3 games on the 64 and 3 games on, the Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance or whatever the system was at the time. They had 3 releases at a time on each individual console. Whereas with Sony, it was like, we're going to have only focus on one at a time. They didn't know how to juggle both systems. Now, with the PS3 era, unfortunately, Sony only could focus on the one system. Sony's only ever been able to focus on one system. Sony was losing money left and right, hand over fist basically, with the PS3. So how could you make up that money? That, the handheld market. You're gonna make money off that because you're not losing money with that system. You're losing money over here in your core system because it costs you more to make it and sell it than make any money with the damn thing. So how are you gonna make that money back? Go to your handheld where all the money coming in from that is profit. Unfortunately, the break that you had in that system between the PS2 and the PS3, when the PS3 came out and you did nothing to support it, no advertisement, nothing, it was like you forgot completely about it and just abandoned it, and the fan base you had just vanished because there was no support for it, no love, no new games, nothing, disappeared and went elsewhere. And this was something that people were afraid was going to happen with the PS Vita. And when they came back with the PSP, and I know I'm jumping from one to another, but when they came back to the PSP the first time, what did they do? They released games in such a rush, and what they did was they released games that they knew were going to get your attention, and they could be really stupid games, and it didn't matter. They were like, here's a God of War, here's another God of War. Did we get your attention enough to where you're going to buy and support more games? And it didn't help. Yeah, people went out and they bought those games, but it didn't sell the PSP. It was only people who already owned it that went and bought those games. It didn't help sell the system. And, I mean, it's just turned into where that history with the PSP fell to the PS Vita. The PS Vita is such an impressive system for a handheld, but Sony showed their lackluster effort in how they're going to go about the handheld market from the start. And people were so, let me see where they're going with this. If they actually show love to it, if they show support for it, I'll get behind it. And when they started off, they showed love for it. They treated it like something new. They treated it with so much support, so much love. The problem with the Vita happened to be the memory cards. People were not going to fork over the hundreds of dollars they wanted for the memory card when it cost over half off for an SD card of the same amount of memory to plug into the competition. When you can buy the 32 gig memory card, SD card for a 3DS and pay half the cost for the Vita, when the Vita's wanting $100 for a 32 gig, and you have to buy that brand, or you can pay somewhere between 40 to $50 for a 32 gig and plug it into a 3DS. And the 3DS in all aspects is the weaker of the two systems, but has the stronger camera for some reason. You're gonna go with the 3DS because you just saved $50 that you can spend on more games. That's how that works in this industry. That's how it's always worked, even for core consoles. You're gonna go with the one you save more money on because you can spend what you saved on more games, on more products. You see what I'm saying? So now Sony's like, we're giving up completely. Well, Sony, you never had to give up completely. All you had to do was show support. You had to listen. All you had to do was say, you know what? We're not going to charge this outrageous price for our memory card because you can buy the competition memory card at half the price, if not more than half the price off of ours. All you had to do was knock the price way the fuck down, or just build the system with memory already in the damn thing. That's all you had to do. I mean, shit, phones come with memory already built in it. Phones come with memory built in it up to 64 gigs. Why wouldn't you just build it with it in if you wanted that much money? You were already asking for $200 for the system when it launched. You could build the system with memory in it. Nintendo already gave you a system with 4 gigs in it. See what I'm saying? You're giving us a system for the same price as a 3DS with no memory. See what I'm saying? You gave us a memory card, yes, but still, Nintendo's offer was so much better than yours. This is why your system didn't do any good. Nintendo also comes out with a lot of games. They are showing a lot of love on their handheld market. A lot. You have really good AAA games, but nobody gives a fuck because you just don't show the support for them. You're not as hyped for them. You're just you act like you're God's gift to gaming, yet you have all these financial problems and all these financial strains when you should be out there like, hey man, come buy the Vita, come buy the Vita, come buy the PS4, come buy the PS4, come buy this game on this system, come buy this game on this system, come buy this PlayStation TV, man, you need to buy this, you need to act like a fucking crackhead for everything you own, and you need to quit acting like it's the fucking thing God is granted to everybody, but you need to act like it is without a price tag that says, hey, we're smoking crack in the back, asking, these outrageous prices for shit that's not even worth that. You need to make it a reasonable fucking price, one, and then give it to the masses and support the damn thing. I'm not saying take it off the market completely. That doesn't make any sense. The market is there. Your handheld market, your handheld fans are there. They're always going to be there. There's a fucking fan base for these. I'm one of them. I love the handheld market. I have a 3DS. I've owned 2 Vitas in hopes that one day the shit will be what it's supposed to. You started supporting it with the release of the 4. What the hell happened? Remote play, remote play, remote play. Bitch, fuck remote play. Talk about the games. Get games. Let me go ahead and, get to the end of this video because I can go on forever about what the fuck they did wrong. If you want to buy a PSP, if you want to buy a PS Vita, I'm not going to tell you not to. I'm just going to tell you the only reason you should at all is if you're a collector. I'm a collector. I collect Xbox games. The original first generation Xbox. I collect for that system. You can check the videos out, seeing my collection as it grows. You can, go back and watch all those videos if you want to. I would suggest you do to see what I'm talking about. If you're collecting for that system, go for it. If not, pass on it because you're going to just invest money and be throwing it away for no reason. That's the only reason to invest into these systems. If you don't collect, don't bother because it's just going to waste your money. But if you collect and you want something to collect for, the Vita and the PSP, by all means, go out, buy you one. You can get them pretty cheap. The PSP is definitely, I think I've seen one for like $50. Um, you can buy you a PSP for $50. You can mod those damn things. They're real easy to mod. Um, you can buy a memory card for a PSP for like, I think $5-6, and it's a big memory card. I've seen like 32 gigs now for like not like next to nothing. And like I said, unless you're planning on collecting for these things, just pass. Just pass, because you're gonna find out that the money you spend on these is not worth the time, because you're just gonna be sitting there going, why did I invest in something that is dead and they never supported it in the first place? The cat, he's got to walk in front of the camera. Anyway, I hope that, Sony learned their lesson. And I know they're cutting back on things to save money because they need it. Obviously, this is what this is. They're trying to figure out ways to save money because they're still financially in hardships. I mean, you have the recent news of Microsoft doing the whole thing with the computer because, yes, they did make that announcement last year that they had one more console generation to go, but now it's looking like they won't even do that. So, when I heard that last year, I thought it was funny because I personally was like, I don't see it happening. But now that they're even going as far this year to say that it doesn't look so, happening for them, that the Xbox One may be the last console that Xbox releases, I'm just going to go out and say, shit happens when you make big mistakes like that and cost your company billions of dollars. And yes, I said billions, not millions, billions of dollars, because you force your fans to say no. And PlayStation, unfortunately, you did it for the better part of a full decade. You lost this guy for a full decade. And I did own a PS3, but you didn't see a dime come from my pocket. I bought mine used. That means I bought it, and the person I bought it from saw the profit from it. Okay, every game that I bought on that system, the person I bought it from saw the profit, not you. And I don't even have that system anymore. Someone else has it. You see what I'm saying? That's how much I despise that system. Now, you saw the profit from the PS4 because I bought that new. Now I'm not regretting buying the PS4. I just wish that I would have waited. Unfortunately, you released the model that I wanted, the Batman model, early on. But here we are, and you're doing it again. PS4 is in full swing. E3 is right around the corner. That means that your second year is almost to halfway through, and you've got still jack shit to show for it. What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? How are you going to save money? You're closing things left and right. And I know it's to save money. We all know it's to save money. You can't tell anybody that it's not to save money. It is. That's all it's for. It's so you can save money. Because you're still financially struggling from that 10 years where all you did was lose money. Anyway, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see y'all next time. And Sony, get your head out of your ass. Focus on what's important before you end up in the same boat as Microsoft. Deuces.